Welcome back. In this video we're going to learn a little bit about assemblies, and we are going to learn about the mate and flush commands. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to open a new assembly, and you're going to see it's a blank environment just like any other time we're opening a part. And it has the origins as well, so it has all the planes and axes that we would normally use while starting to create a part. First thing we're going to do is we will place parts that we've already created into this assembly. So I've got the place command in the upper left hand corner. Sometimes this may not show up because there might be something else there. So if I click the down arrow, one of these other pictures may be up there, but this is the place where you find that command. So I click that down arrow, then I can just click place, and then I can add a part into the assembly. So I'm just going to click part 1 or cube 1, click open. If I click once, it's going to add one instance of this part. If I zoom out with my scroll ball, you can see more area around it. I could just go ahead and I click another time, and it adds a second cube in. If I ever get confused about, how many cubes do I have in here, I can again just look at the side menu, and it says cube 1, instance 1, cube 2, or cube 1, instance 2. So I've got 2 of cube 1. I can also go back to place, and I can click on one. If I hold down the shift button, click on the last one, you're going to see it will open all 3 of them at the same time. If I hit the control button, I can de-highlight or re-highlight any one of them I wish. And I have to, while I'm holding it down, click. Once I click open, you're going to see that it shows me that I have an object that I'm going to add. Once I click once, you're going to see it added cube 2, first one, cube 3, first one, cube 4, first one. If I go over here, cube 2, second time, cube 3, second time, cube 4, second time, and again, a third time. Now I have a whole bunch of parts on here. It might look a little confusing because, let's face it, it sometimes doesn't understand that parts have volume and space and that they can't interact with each other, as in, oh hey look, they're all on top of each other. So in the 3D space, the program doesn't quite understand when things are overlapping that you can't do that with a solid object. So now that I have all these parts on here, what I have to do is when I first start out, I like to ground the first one. So the first part I put in here was the one right here in the middle. It's highlighted in the side menu. If I right click it, I can go down to grounded. Now what you can think of for grounded is that it's stuck there. So like when you're at home and you're grounded and your parents don't want you to go anywhere, hang out with your friends, you can't play video games, but oh look, all the other ones, they can move around. So all the other ones, they can go hang out with each other, but you can't move or leave at all. So you're grounded. Now that I have that one grounded, anytime I constrain something next to it or on it, I can find out the way that it is constrained by trying to pull and move that part around. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go constrain, and I'm going to start using the mate tab. So under the mate tab, we do have both the mate and the flush command. So first starting off with mate, as you can see, those 2 arrows are opposing each other. So that makes it so that both those 2 parts will actually be facing on their sides. So it would make it so that this one would be touching that one if I pick the magenta one. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to pick this face and I'm going to pick that face. You're going to see that now that just flipped around and it's touching that surface. So once I hit apply, it will accept it, and I can start doing more of my constraints. But I'm first going to just get out of this window and just show you that now that it's on that surface, when I pull it over, let's just move the other ones out of the way. When I pull it over, it's not going to go over. It'll go up and down. And if I turn it again, it goes side to side, but it is always on that same plane as that edge. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to fully constrain this one next to the gold one, and I'm going to go flip over to the flush command. So instead of mate, I'm going to do flush. And what that does is it makes both the planes go the same direction. So I pick this surface, pick this one, and you're going to see that it actually locked into place with both of them flat against each other. So if I turn it this way, you can see that both the arrows are pointing the same way, and they're both on that same plane. Once I click apply, it accepts it, and now I can start a new command. And then a third command here, I'll just do the flush again, and that will get them so that they're actually attached next to each other. So if I apply, you're going to see that once I get out of this, if I click and hold on my magenta one, it is not going to move. If I click and hold on the gold one, it doesn't move either. So both of them are now stuck together. If I did any of these constraints and they weren't quite what I wanted, what I can do is I can actually go back over to my side menu and I can manipulate any one of these constraints that I've already done. So if I pick, let's say, this mate here, got to right click it, I'm going to go to edit, and I can change things up. Now it'll probably error on me if I do, but selection 1 was one of the objects, selection 2 was the second one. So I can always click on one of these and change it. So I'm going to quick show you that with a new part. So let's say I go constrain. I'm going to pick the green one. Let's made it to the gold one. I hit apply. Now I can go back. Where's the green one? It's inside menu. Cube 3-1. I can go right click, then go down the list and say edit. If I go selection 1, I could change the side on my green one, or if I click selection 2, because that's the second one I selected, I could change where this touches on the gold one. So I could go there, selection 1, and there you're going to see now it flips it over. So I changed it. I didn't have to delete it. All I did was change my mate. So now it is touching that side. Another thing I can do on these constrained commands, let me first flush the top, hit apply. Then I can also use what is called an offset. So let's say I want it next to the gold one, but I can't really get back there to constrain it. I could flush it to this face with an offset. So I don't remember if that's negative or positive direction, but if I go and I put 1 inch in there, there we go. That is in the positive direction. You can also make it go in the negative direction and have it go the other way. But I want it next to the gold one. I click apply, and there we go. I've got it fully constrained. So those are the basics with the top part of our command. We do have some other things that we can do with this command because of the fact that all I did so far was pick surfaces. We can also use the mate command to click on edges. So I could mate the edge of this one to the edge of the pink one, click apply, and you're going to see that it will actually now spin around that edge. So if you accidentally click an edge and you want to face, it is going to spin around that edge and you're going to have an error that you didn't want to have. Another thing I do normally when I do this is I constrain the tops, because sometimes we want it so that it'll pivot, and then we can go around the edges. So it actually will go around and go through my object. Next part of constraint, I could have another part fully constrained, so I'm just going to quick go ahead. I'm going to constrain a green one again. Constrain green on there, apply. I'm going to go ahead, flush, apply. Alright, now that I've got this part fully constrained, we've got another option we can do. So if I go and I hover over any one of these, I can see what sides were picked, and I'm going to first go to the mate command, and I'm going to edit this. There's a double arrow, so I can make this window greater, or I can make it less than. That's why the symbols change. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to do a max and a min on here. Max always has to be larger number than the min. So minimum could be a negative number, could be a positive number, but max has to always be a larger number in the positive direction. So minimum could be negative 20 and this could be 0, but 0 is not a larger number. Sometimes people get confused about that, but since 20 is negative, it's a smaller number than 0. So let's just go, we'll try this out. I don't remember again which way it's going to go, so I'm going to apply that. And then it goes through my object. We didn't want that to happen, so we want it to go the other way. All I'm going to do is edit. Max can be 2, and then minimum 0. Then I go OK. And now you have a constraint that actually allows motion. So a constraint will only let it go out to 2 inches, and it won't let it go through your object. Let's see, since I did the edges on this one, why don't we go ahead, we start with one of the angle commands. We're going to use this a lot later, and I'm going to just stay on the third angle command. This one is the one I use the most, causes the least amount of errors for me. But first thing it asks for is first selection, second selection, and then reference vector. So first selection can be this face, second selection can be this face, and then my rotation vector is the one that it's already rotating on. I could set an angle if I wanted to and have it be stuck at an angle, or I can also use this to go ahead and put a range of motion on there. So just like before, I had positive and negative. And then I can click apply. And it will turn and only turn 180. So you can see it goes through the object for a little bit, sometimes not. So I could go ahead, go back. This cube was cube 4-2. Edit my angle. And just have it 0 and 90. That way we don't go through our object. Then we also have one last part out of our mate commands, and that is a predict offset. So what I can do is I could actually have it predict how far away it is. So if I click this, and sometimes after you click it you forget that it's clicked and parts won't go where you want it to. That is because you have to unselect it later to have it not happen to any of your future constraints. So if I select one piece and then I select the other one, you're going to see that it touched it for just a little bit and then it pushed it back away the exact distance that we were at. And we were at 1.282. If that's the distance I wanted, then I can just apply that, and then it won't go closer, won't go further away. Looks like that is everything that I needed to show you. One thing that we don't use in this class, but could be something you want, is use offset as resetting point. So every time you're done moving it by hand, it would offset to that distance. So remember, this one moved. And if I go back to this mate and I go edit, I put my offset as 1 and I hit OK. Now I can move this, but it always just snaps back to that 1 position. All right, have fun.